So Billy Sheenan said, "Don't upgrade your bass too fast. Live with it and stuff like that." And the longer I keep this bass, the more I'm understanding what he was talking about, because he talked about a bass he had bought that wasn't very good. He didn't like it that much, and he thought, I got to upgrade the bass, whatever, blah blah blah. And he goes, but he started spending time with it. I guess, probably he was broke at the time, and just had to live with it. And then you start discovering things that, oh, okay, this bass is teaching me something, and this bass has been teaching me a lot. And Ibanez, you can't go wrong. Like if you're a beginner, Ibanez, Geo, anything, guitar, bass, whatever, you really can't go wrong with them. They're set up to be able to be played like a professional. If I hand this to the most outrageously talented bass player, Charles Bufford, that like his channel, if I hand him this bass, he's going to make it sound like $1 million. Why? Because he's a great player, you know. And the thing is when I look at it, okay, like I say, there's nothing really to look at. It's a Okamu body or whatever, not the greatest sounding. Jabota fingerboard, not the greatest sounding. Maple neck, maple's not bad. It's nothing flashy. So the only thing you could do with a bass like this is play it and learn what your abilities are and what you got to work on. And then when you figure it out on this bass, then you translate it to another bass and see, oh, is it easier to do that big ass chord? Let's get as ridiculous as we can here. Maybe I find another 6-string or 5-string bass in the music store, and I pick it up, and it's like, but that's so much easier to do it on that bass, and it does everything better than this. And then you say, there. Now I know where I'm going to be putting my money. So I know it's a kind of a bit of a long discussion. I like doing these long discussion things. I don't know if people care to watch them or not, but it is stuff to think about. Don't be in too much of a hurry. And I'm very relaxed with this bass in the sense of I'm not buying it yearning for another bass right away. And a lot of people do that. You do it with guitars and everything. You buy your first electric guitar, and it's El Cheapo guitar and whatever, and you're like, you can't wait to get your next big guitar. That's why I say, when you get your starter instrument, whatever your starter instrument is, make sure, if you don't know enough about it, get somebody who can get you into something like this, where it's like, okay, this is a great starter. It's a fantastic. Maybe again, people argue, no, don't start with the start on the 4-string and then work your way to the 5-string. As people say, like me, the way I look at it is, if you were an active learner, the 5-string for somebody with zero musical experience, as long as, you can learn from YouTube, but maybe go take a lesson or two, so that you start off with the fundamentals, so that your technique doesn't have to be unlearned and relearned again. Because it's hard to unlearn things. It's easy to learn bad habits, very hard to unlearn them. And that's one thing as a musician that you learn over the years, especially when you're a multi-instrumentalist. You learn that, hey, wait a minute, if I learn a bad technique, it could take years to get rid of that technique. You know what I mean? Where if I learn a good technique right from the get, like for the slap, this versus, like the straight on, I'm learning that this is the better way to go for most, because this here limits you on some stuff. It's easier, but and I'm still working on the slap thing. I suck at it right now because I've been really kind of dabbling on it for past couple of months. And most of the stuff I'm going to be playing is probably not going to require slap, but it is a nice thing to have to learn. But like anything, what you learning on the 5 is going to be a little bit more work cut out for you, because you have to be able to mute stuff, right? So if you're going to be big into slap, maybe the 4 is the better way to go. But anyway, that's another debate for another time. So I just want to make sure that what I'm getting across in this video is that whatever bass you have, as long as it's a good learning bass, live with it. Don't buy a second mediocre bass. Just go right for the gold. Go from the learner to the gold. I learned this with guitars over the years. You buy the $500 guitar, okay, it's good. Then you buy the $700 guitar, and then you buy the $1,200 guitar, and then you know, whatever. And by the time you got to the $1,200 guitar, you say, well, I should have just bought the beginner guitar and just jumped right to the professional guitar. You know, I'm not saying you have to spend any certain amount of money, but what I'm saying is that rather than buying like five cheap $500 guitars, right there's you're probably going to, for most people, their dream guitar is going to, reside in between $1,000 and $2,000, right? Which is a lot of money. I get that, but you bought four or five $300 guitars or whatever when you could have, bought one, learning instrument, learn it, live with it, make sure you're getting an instrument that you're happy with for a while. Like, again, if I had to play this for a couple of years, fine. Like, that's not a bad sound. It's not a great sound. Definitely a lot of low end. You can hear things shaking the house. I love it. I don't even have it up loud. Well, I don't want to because I don't want to hurt this cabinet. This is a gold mine, this thing. But it's, what's this thing going to sound like through a proper bass amp, right? This is my point exactly. I still got learning to do on that, and I'm sure I'll get better harmonics and response with a proper bass amp too. Especially all the harmonics and whatever. But that's technique as well. So yeah, live with the bass you have, and then when you go to upgrade your bass, try everything. Think about it. Think about which direction you want to go. Maybe you're going to have like for me, I know I'm going to have a couple of basses. I don't want to have 10 guitars, 10 basses. You know what I mean? I'd like to really just find the instrument that does the job, and maybe two. So I do want a fretless. I do want a 6-string. I know I want a really good quality 4-string, and maybe 2 4-strings and 2 good 5-strings. And that would probably be more than enough. If I have to live with one instrument, probably the 5-string. If I can only afford one more bass in my life, and no matter what it is, something that just works the best all around for me, it's probably going to be the 5-string. I have tried 6-string basses, but I haven't lived with a 6-string bass for months or years or whatever. I think like my natural, just because of the sounds I want to get anyway with the extended range guitars and the heavy metal stuff, I think I got to go that route anyway. But I might be able to pull it off with just the 5-string. You know what I mean? Because the 5-string, you can down tune this thing to F. You can get, you can take your 4-string. Maybe the 4-string 5-string's too hard for you, but you can get a 4-string with an extended range scale and just go bead tuning, B-E-A-D instead of E-A-D-G, right? So you could have a 4-string bass and a 5-string bass, and that'll kind of give you, you'll lose out this string, the G string, but like, it depends where you're going to be sitting. That's why I like the 5, because you still get to keep that. A high C string would be nice, but I can live without it. But then once you have it, you know what I mean. That's one thing I'm learning about this bass is like, how do I ever go back to a 4-string? You know what I mean? Like I got that in there. Yeah, but you got to play an E. Add that B in there. Same note. Just listen to the difference. There's a little more chunk. I'm not playing any harder on the B string. It's the same note. Play both. Like how much thunder you bring into the room there. You're going to shake the building off the foundation with that because of the B. Yeah. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this discussion. I don't know when my next bass is going to be. I have an idea of what I want, but who knows what I'll end up with, because I try to be as practical about upgrading so that I'm buying something that when I buy it, I don't really care to upgrade from that. Meaning, like a professional instrument. And I know not everybody has the money. Sometimes nowadays you got to pretty much do payments for everything, and I know some people, they can't justify the money, but once you have it in your hands, um, it's money well spent. Once you get what you want, you know what I mean. But rather than buying five bases, okay, okay, I'm gonna buy the $700 base, and then the $800 base, and then the $1,000 base, and then the $1,200 base, and then you're, like, how much money are you gonna spend? I mean, yeah, you might want a backup base, like two pro backup bases, but you could have this as the backup, and then one really good one for your, main stuff, right? But yeah, spend time with them, because even if you don't play the bass you have well now, that might be more of a technique issue than a actual, the bass is the problem, right? Everybody likes to blame the instrument. I can't play well. I'm gonna buy another instrument. Focus on what you have. And the best way to do it, what I've been doing with this is writing songs. I do it with my guitars and everything like that. Once you start songwriting, you start getting less distracted by buying more equipment. In fact, I'm probably going to flog a few things and just, like juggle things around, get rid of this to get that, that kind of stuff. But I'm at a point where it's like pretty much everything I have is excellent. So, so yeah, hopefully I'll do the same with the basses. And as soon as the bass amp is the next thing on the list for, before I get another bass, get a good bass amp. There's a lot of bass players out there with like 20 basses and they got no bass amp. Oh, they're heavy. Yeah, but you do need one. I understand the guys that live in the apartments and stuff like that, but if you want to play gigs and stuff like that, playing through the PA, you can't really let it sing. You know what I mean?